Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy MacMillan, and many of you may know me as a very active American pastry chef and champion of plated dessert. Hopefully all of you have been keeping safe and healthy as we wait out the current situation. Welcome to the Pastry Arts Summit presented by Pastry Arts Magazine. I'm appreciative of Sean Wenner, Tish Boyle, and everyone at Pastry Arts Magazine for creating this platform for us to exchange ideas and learn from each other. So again, welcome as we discuss my process for creating exceptional plated dessert. To me, plated dessert is the culmination of all the flavors, skills, styles, and intricacies of our profession. Yes, true, I'm also a baker that makes blueberry muffins, scones, croissants, and Danish, and I've decorated thousands of cakes and hundreds of wedding cakes, created many chocolate bonbons, candies, and showpieces for every holiday and every occasion. But at the end of the day, nothing is more exciting to me than the high artistry and storytelling opportunities that composed plated desserts present to the pastry chef. To stare at a blank plate, which is our canvas, and imagine what could be created that will be visually stunning, flavorful, and surprising to the diner at the highest level, shares a story with our guests. That's what I'm passionate about, composed plated desserts. In this segment, I'm going to share my thoughts and process on how to develop dessert concepts all the way from our pastry chef mind to the presentation to our guests. It's difficult to make great plated dessert. It's something you need to work at, and you need to think about it a lot. Our first rule, my first rule, when plating an original composition is the first one is terrible. It's no good, needs work, period. How will we ever create great art on rough drafts and first passes? Okay, so for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to say that we all know how to make basic classical dessert recipes. Creme brulee, several cakes, buttercream, ganache, some chocolate and sugar work, because you need a firm grip on the rudiments to create a compelling plated dessert. And one of the things I love about plated dessert is it will take all of your skill as a pastry chef. You need mastery of skill in several areas to make and execute all the elements that will comprise your dessert menu. Musicians need notes to compose. These recipes are your notes in your octave that you will use to compose your dish. So, flavors and ingredients first. Always start with flavor and ingredients. Exceptional ingredients. All the best chefs I know are obsessed with exciting ingredients. It's high-level fun for a pastry chef. And we know that the perfect ingredient, sun-dried huckleberries from Portland, say, can define a dessert that we can serve over and over again and simply blow people's minds. If your first thought when making a menu is, I want to have a creme brulee on the menu, you're done. Forget about creating something unique and wonderful, it's over. Once you set in your mind the idea that there's going to be a creme brulee, you're done. The only thing you're going to apply is maybe flavor substitution, add a garnish or two, and that's it. You're not going to recreate a creme brulee. And I love creme brulee, but we're talking about telling your story to the guest and creating some excitement. So start with flavor and ingredients first. Cara oranges, an African estate coffee you love, Ugandan vanilla beans, something that you tasted recently that you thought was exceptional. These ingredients have a story. These ingredients excite you, and you can relay that excitement to every person that tastes your dessert. Now, how many ways can I prepare that ingredient? Take the Cara oranges. They're sweet with a lovely red-pink color. What pastry recipes and techniques do I know that best communicate these qualities? We can make a juice and have jellies, a flavorful syrup or sauce. We can use the zest, we can candy the flesh. We can make gelato or sorbetto. We can make a custard like panna cotta. And fresh, we can cut supremes and add the fresh fruit to reinforce the choices. There's all the ways to capture these qualities of the ingredient. Doesn't matter if all these make it to the plate, we're just creative chefs, imagining everything we can, make from this one wonderful ingredient, Cara oranges. Now make some of those recipes. Taste. What flavors would complement my Cara gelato? Custard, the sauce. What textures are missing, if any? Now we can start to think about bringing in another ingredient, and maybe there won't be any other ingredients. I went through a period of several years where I made as many recipes with one single ingredient as possible. Focused on that ingredient. How many ways can I prepare a green apple? Use a mango. Infuse vanilla, caramel, cinnamon. Only through working extensively with an ingredient can we learn the best way to elaborate on it. Let's look at some examples of dessert compositions that illustrate this approach. carrot passion fruit white chocolate. If I have a signature dessert, I think this may be the one. Created in 2008 when I worked with Curtis Duffy at the 2-star Michelin Avenues in the Peninsula Hotel, this dessert has transcended time. It has been published on several occasions since coming off the menu, and even recently in the Best Chefs of Chicago video series on the Best Chef Network. This is the result of following your inspiration with a process that leads to creativity. The dessert, of course, is the flavors of carrot cake. This is important as it's very relatable. But when we think about carrot as a dessert ingredient, there's things that we can do that might not appeal to everyone. No one says, I love that vegetative carrot dessert. What a great way to finish the meal. So we need sweet carrots, and we think carrot ribbons with cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, coriander, and maybe a carrot sorbetto with some passion fruit juice to make it more dessert and flavorful, and swirled with white chocolate gelato to bring in creaminess and more sweetness. Carrot cake can be baked and pureed to reinforce the idea that it's there, but in a surprising way. Some of the carrot cake pieces can be blended, and so you have traditional carrot cake, but you also have a piped carrot cake, sort of like a cake shake. Final touches are micro carrot cake tops, micro lemongrass, and fresh passion fruit seeds. And I don't shy away from adding ingredients if it makes the dish eat better. Some chefs and instructors will tell you only 3 flavors, no more than 4 or 5 components, but I don't think that way, and I don't think you can design approaching things that way. Again, focus on flavors, focus on ingredients. Let's take a look at another dessert that has staying power. Coconut cake with blueberries. And I just want to mention, menu descriptions like elevated, deconstructed, play on coconut cake do not serve the pastry chef well. It's coconut cake, point blank period. Now we're going to serve this very fun, unique, personal story of what coconut cake might be, but I'm not going to scare someone off from ordering it. And it's our job as pastry chefs, as designers, to make sure whatever form the dessert takes, the person who eats the dessert thinks coconut cake. This dessert has thinly sliced coconut cake layers assembled with coconut mousse. There's tiny panna cotta spheres, coconut meringues, and spray-dried coconut. And I like blueberries with coconut, so we make a blueberry lemon myrtle tea sphere that is very liquid inside, the sauce, and slice some fresh blueberries for the plate. Some additional items, violet white chocolate flakes, blueberry sauce, and purple flowers contribute to making the visual impact a bit more transcendent. This dessert was first put on a menu in 2012. I feel this version of coconut cake with blueberries is just as viable and contemporary here in 2020. I wouldn't hesitate to put it on the menu again. And here's another blueberry dessert so we can see how the same flavor can play out in different ways. Blueberry punch cake. This is an elaboration on blueberry. I had played with wrapping ladyfinger sponge in a tube and filling it with a fruit flavor and soaking the cake in the fruit made with the same flavor. And we tried coconut, raspberry, blueberry, boom, blueberry. I love the blueberry. So, as we discussed earlier, blueberry punch soaked ladyfinger sponge wrapped around blueberry fruit mousse and surrounded by blueberry meringue, blueberry crumble bar, blueberry jellies, blueberry sauce. An example of taking one ingredient and elaborating on its dimension is Barolo Nebbiolo. We know this is a popular Italian wine that can be quite expensive. I remember the moment when I had the inspiration to make this dessert. I was in Austin, Texas at a friend's wine shop, sipping on a glass of Barolo and tasting chocolate, strawberries, raspberry sauce, rose petals, a complete dessert profile. So that became the dessert that was served when I received the top 10 pastry chef in America. Strawberry puree was infused with dried rose petals that had been toasted and molded into a sorbetto that was dipped in a 68% dark chocolate. A gelato of Nebbiolo was made to add on top of the molded strawberry rose sorbetto. Strawberry scoops were macerated in the wine with some sugar and vanilla. A chocolate pot de creme was made to pipe on the plate. Dehydrated strawberry pieces, raspberry crisps, and frozen chocolate dust finished the dessert that was adorned with red florals. Note, this dessert has 3 frozen elements: sorbetto, gelato, frozen dust, and the dust that's like granito that ties back into the Italian origin of the wine. Really, someone may tell you that's too many frozen items, but again, I think it supported the dessert and is interesting and a bit original. So this is an example of storytelling by making the connection of your pastry choices with the concept of the dessert. This approach would work well with many complex ingredients we come across every day. Chai tea is a favorite of mine and more popular in mainstream coffee shops over the years. Chai has flavors of black tea, ginger, cinnamon, cardamom, fennel, black pepper, cloves. It's complex, but also familiar and ripe with possibility for pastry elaborations. Okay, so now let's answer a question from Facebook. Natasha from Atlanta asks, how do I represent a modern dessert on a plate as approachable, maybe even comforting, and then not disappoint when the plate comes to the table? As a club chef, this is one of the most difficult lines to walk. Well, thank you, Natasha. I think that's a great question and really applies to many of the establishments we work in. If we too closely identify with what we think the customers like, or even what we know, we may shy away from presenting our artistry, which in the short term is fine, but eventually you may find yourself having a menu of chocolate cake, creme brulee, and vanilla ice cream. So then you can look back in a few years and say, wow, I wasn't really able to infuse my artistry on my dessert program. And at the end of the day, maybe it won't be that satisfying. And there's a lot of people between you and the guest. Sometimes the preconceptions of the executive chef, the clubhouse manager, the general manager, all kind of play into how you present it. So we really have to become an expert at infusing our creativity into something, again, that's approachable. But as long as we touched on earlier, when that dessert is received by the guest, they say, that's coconut cake, that's carrot cake, that's satisfying. It didn't look like what I thought I ordered when I came, but when I ate it, the experience was something that I would come back for. It takes time to get to that point, but I think we only get there by trying and trying and trying. And if something doesn't work, that's okay. I'm not afraid to fail, and at times that is what can set you apart. And if things don't work in one environment, I keep those notes. And as a pastry chef, sometimes we move around a little bit. When I come to a different market or a different establishment, I try it again. In closing, I want to thank everyone, all the chefs and dessert fans who watched today. I hope you can take something away from the presentation that will help you elevate your plate of desserts. Overall, please spend the time, do the extra work, push the limits. To me, I believe that pastry chefs are creative, smart, resourceful, and able to encapsulate all the amazing desserts from history and around the world and bring them together on a single plate. And that talent is best supported by a dedicated process for creating exceptional plated desserts. Thank you, and until next time, look for my column Pastry Virtuosity in every issue of Pastry Arts magazine, and you can reach me at Jimmy MacMillan on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere. And please check out my YouTube channel for more pastry chef content. Bye for now.